Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Matchbook Horse Racing Podcast, second one of the week, focusing on day 3 at York and a feast of action, including the Group 1 Lockinge on Saturday. We'll start with York, Steve Jones and Charlie Poste alongside to get stuck into this. Let me remind you about the Smart Betting Club Awards, where we're up for 3 different awards. It's pinned on the Matchbook Twitter page, and we'd love you to vote for us. That would be very welcome, particularly if you like our content. If you do like our content, don't forget to like and subscribe because it makes it easier to digest everything that we put out there across all sports. This is York Dante Festival Day 3 preview in the main, or that we're kicking off with. And we're going to start with our opening contest. We're going chronological order. Simple as that. The Marygate Fillies Stakes. I'll give you prices very shortly because I didn't get them up in front of me in time. But, you know, why would I? I've been doing this for about 6 years. Charlie, you kick us off.
Yeah, I kept it very simple in this and very unoriginal. I've gone with Russian Dreamer. I thought he was very impressive. Was very impressive rather at Newmarket. I hit the line strong after slotting early. Dominant Fretch Davis is having a great time of it with these horses, and this looks like really another exciting one of theirs by the season. Calix, Tom.
Yeah, Steve.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Charlie that I think Persian Dreamer is going to take some stopping, but very impressive at Newmarket and is a little bit too short for me. So this is a race that is, it's a listed race, but it can throw up some interesting winners and placed horses. And the last 3 horses to win this race were maidens. So it's never a barrier to a horse running well if you haven't won going into this race. And Tierney, I think, place only at 25s is an interesting bet. She first time up in the Lily Agnes at Chester last week on really soft ground, and that's not easy for any horse, especially a youngster or a horse making her debut as a 2-year-old. And I thought she ran really well. The 3 horses to finish in front of her had all won. Ziggy's Phoenix, the winner of the race, was doubling up, having won at Ripon, in a race that's worked out well. So I think there's a chance that on the better ground that Tierney's going to run a whole lot better for Hugo Palmer with Oisin Murphy in there. So at around 26.0 for the win, I'm expecting, something like 6.0, something in that region for place only. So I think she can hit the frame. So it's Tierney in the first for me.
Okay, Persian Dreamer, I do like her. I think is potentially very smart and interestingly, Yard are going with a couple, but Persian Dreamer obviously the first string 2.5. Got to Love a Grace 4.33. Dorothy Lawrence is 7.5. Where's your shout, Tierney? 26.0. I'm going to take a chance on this Gaydon, who I'm hoping will improve for that first start. I take the point that Steve is saying. You sort of want to get after a last time out winner, but hopefully better ground will suit and will just sharpen up a bit for the run. Maybe she wants a bit further, but she's 11.0. The Yard are in good nick. The owners and the Yard had a juvenile winner on the first day of the meeting under Sean Levy, and no, not a juvenile, so it was a 3-year-old, wasn't it? But still won nicely. But yeah, I think I thought 11.0 small stake won place for me just because I was being a bit of a chicken and didn't want to side with something at the top of the market. Okay, that is the Marygate. We come to the Oaks Farm Stables Fillies Stakes, and prices are as follows for this 225. You've got Silver Lady in there at 3.2, Queen for You 4.0, Stormy Sea 8.5, Juliet Sierra 11.0. Bigger prices the rest. I'll start with you, Steve, this time.
Another one, just a little bit of a chance because it's, again, you're dealing with inexperienced horses, even though these are 3-year-olds. Most of them are fairly inexperienced, only had 1 or 2 runs with the exception of Glen Laurel and Juliet Sierra. So I was quite impressed with Orchid Bloom first time up at Newmarket at the back end last time, and when a William Haggis horse wins first time up, I think it's a pretty good pointer that you might have a smart horse potentially on your hands, especially one that wins as impressively as Orchid Bloom did when winning at Newmarket on the back end. And the third horse there went on to win afterwards, having been beaten 4 lengths, and then was chanced in a Group 3, albeit was outclassed. But Orchid Bloom has shown that she goes well fresh because she won on debut. She's first time up. She's got the pedigree to certainly be improve over this mile trip. She was at 7 furlongs last time. The better ground shouldn't be a problem at all. And I just think she's too big in the betting. I know that there's other horses in here that have won 1 out of 1, the likes of Silver Lady and Queen for You, but she's the one that's been ignored, and I don't tend to see why. So at 15.0, I think Orchid Bloom has got a bit of a chance winning place.
Can I ask you about the Haggis Yard? And I know this doesn't necessarily apply to Orchid Bloom, she's 15.0, but just in general, are you in any way worried they're a bit quiet? No.
No. Winners might have been a little bit hard to come by recently, but we're dealing with early season cold weather on wet ground, and they are running more. They're not running badly. They're running fine. I know Tasman Bay didn't run particularly well. My tip in the first race on the first day of the Dante meeting, but I just think that the horses that are fancied are running fine. Sacred won last weekend, and there's been that he had a couple of winners. Hamish won first time out. I just think it's the right horses are running well, and I've got no worries about Haggis form now.
This is something that was flagged up to one of our esteemed viewers / listeners on the initial podcast we did a couple of days ago. But then Haggis came out on the Nick Luck Daily podcast and did say that they were okay. He's had a couple of group winners, but they're not absolutely running as well as he'd like. He mentioned. So
he's a trainer that doesn't have them bang first time up ever. He does it properly. He's a patient approach. You see those Baid never even got near a classic. I don't think he would run when it hadn't run in any race when they ran the Guineas. So he's a guy that does the patient approach. But with this, you've got to kind of treat his horses individually. And Orchid Bloom won first time out at the back end of last season. There's no reason why she won't be good enough for a listed race and progress from there, in my opinion. And at 15.0, way of a price.
I like Queen for You. I like the family. I like what she did last time. I'd just rather back her over Silver Lady at a bigger price. She's got a coronation entry. I think she'll, to be honest, when a filly from this yard wins first up, they're normally all right. And I think the ground will be ideal. It's quite quick, but I think that's ideal for her being a Kingman. Quite happy to back her win only 4.0. Charlie Post.
Stormy for me. Bay Bridges' half sister. I thought she was very good at Haydock on a later start, and again ran through the very strong. She's a second run back from a wind up after her debut in November. Starting to be going very well. Series goes the ground tie up might be a factor, but I just think the prices, I just like her a bit more than the top two in the market. I think she offers a little bit more value, Tom.
Yes, she does that at 8.5. We roll on to the Knight Solicitors Handicap. Won't give you the prices because it's a decent sized field handicap. Give it to you when we get to them. But Steve and I are both with a 7.0 shot in the form of Spirit Dancer. Steve, it wasn't a very confident selection from me in the sense that I tied myself in knots a bit with this handicap. I thought that he was. I could see something else beating him, but and potentially being better treated. But I thought, given the course and distance form, I thought he was very, very solid at 7.0. That I'm happy to take him win and place, and hopefully something won't be better treated.
Yeah, that's exactly it. The pros are that he's got that course form. He won over the track and trip in July. He'd run very, very well in the John Smith's Cup over track and trip, went fourth and was a bit keen that day, and then went on to finish runner-up to Phantom Flight, who I think is a horse with a huge amount of potential back end at the Ebor meeting. And the cons are that Spirit Dancer's record first time out is not amazing, albeit that he has run well after a mid-season break before. And I'm just hoping that he is forward enough to run his race, because if that's the case, the course form, as we've said all week, is pretty key at York, and he's got a stack of it. So, yeah, I'm with you. Winning place, I think he's certainly worth chancing. That's for sure. And he's a horse that has got a lot of experience. He's a 6-year-old. He's well versed in this kind of race. So I thought, yeah, he'd have to have some sort of chance.
And Charlie, you're with Aramaic at 8.0.
Yeah, I mean, look, the concern is that he's going to be 100% tuned after a very long layoff, but he was progressing well in 2021. Before his last start at Newbury, went out well. Likes of Sam Cook came there, and he's run a hell of a lot higher than he was there. And I just think it's fascinating. He's been gelded since, and the fact persevered with him. And even though he's light on experience, I think there are definitely upside to his mark. It's just more a factor of whether he's 100% wound up. But he's a horse that I'll be having a little play on in this, keeping a very close eye on moving forward. He's a horse with stacked ability.
All right, moving on to the Yorkshire Cup. 335 this is. Prices are as follows. Interesting to see if the Ledger winner can cut it here. But Quickthorn's 3.5, Broom's 4.0, Siskani 5.0, Elder Elderov is 5.0. Bigger Price is the final trio. I think the Elder Elderov is really tempting me, but I don't know. I'm with you again. I think this Broom is pretty solid, isn't he? I wonder if this actually might be his best trip. And, he's finally been allowed to sort of run on his own merit as opposed to being used as a horse to go forward for others. I thought he was pretty solid, Broom.
We've seen it so many times with Aidan O'Brien, where he has he has loads of classy 1.5 mile horses, but then he identifies the right ones to go up in distance. Now, usually he's done it before they've reached 7 years old, but with Broom, like you say, he has been sacrificed to help other stablemates at times. But his form, if you go back to when he is running on his merits in Group 2 races or less, so outside Group 1 company, is very, very good. And he had a stack of these in behind at Maidan, the likes of Siskany and Quickthorn and Subjectivist was in there. So it was a high quality race, that. And although I'm not a massive fan of taking Dubai form at face value, he did seem to see out the trip particularly well. He travelled really well, and if this is the key to him, then he could be a real star for Aidan O'Brien this summer, who, as we know, has got an exceptional record with stayers. And this sort of mile 6 trip might just be absolutely ideal for him. And for that reason, I think I want to take on Quickthorn, and I definitely want to take on Alderov first time up, giving weight away to the rest.
All right. I'll echo all of that. I thought he was very solid at 4.0. Charlie, over to you. You're a bit in and out. You can keep it a little briefer, but you're with Siskany.
Yeah, Siskany for me, obviously set to Broom at Dubai World Cup. He travelled incredibly well that race, and I think the drop back 2 furlongs in trip on a track like York will actually suit him very, very well. And that also he has no penalty to carry. He hasn't. The others Group 2 on penalties was just enough to swing toward in what's an open. It's like you think is rock solid. And Elderov is fascinating. I just thought the £5 penalty on his first track be to make him vulnerable in this.
Yeah, I think we're agreeing on Elderov. I don't love Quickthorn on the ground as well. I might come back to him as a bit of as a just counting. We've got 7 in there, haven't we? Yeah, I've decided sticking up as a place lay. We'll get to that. Moving on to the Darley Novice Stakes. Prices are as follows for this contest. The last race we're going to be doing on the Friday before we come into other Friday bets. Cathab is 3.0, Mustabshir 3.75, New Business 6.0, Zirabe 7.0. Bigger prices the rest. I am going to have a little go at Mustabshir here for Will Buick, for John and Thady Gosden. Obviously, second string for Shadwell, but I thought it was notable the performance in the Musadora of the Gosden filly. And I know they blamed the ground that day, but for the Newbury run, and then she came out and put her best foot forward yesterday, as we're doing this on Thursday. But I think there might be a few horses that first run this season for the Gosdens just didn't run great, and she was one of them. And they did have a patch where just a few horses were just running crap, and for no apparent reason. I know they blame the ground, but they had a real sort of quiet spell other than the odds-on shots, and there were a few getting absolutely beaten out of sight as well. Anyway, I thought on that line, Mustabshir was worth another go. I know the Cathab passenger form looks very good, but this horse, Mustabshir, looked pretty good on debut at the back end of last year. And he was a bit disappointing last time, but I'm willing to give him another chance. And for the reasons I've said, that I don't feel that's factored into his price at the moment, 3.75. Steve Jones.
I'm going to stick with the Wood Ditton form, but I'm not going for Cathab. I'm going for New Business, who was a very strong favourite in the Wood Ditton, which is for unraced horses, but it's got a pedigree of throwing up some really smart horses. And New Business went from the front that day, ran a fine debut. There was nothing wrong with it. Passenger was much the best on the day, which may be a bit of a surprise to some, given Sir Michael Stout's horses generally take the patient approach, but he's got his horses really well forward this year, and New Business wasn't able to cope with him, and Cathab finished a length and a half in front of New Business. But on this track, I think New Business getting on the front end with that experience might just be able to keep rolling, and given that he was such a strong price in the Wood Ditton, must have been doing something pretty special on the gallops at Andrew Boulding's. And I'm not going to take that form at face value with Cathab. So I'm taking New Business to reverse that and just make all the running.
All right. We're trying to get Charlie up, but I will let you know, and you can see this on Matchbook Insights. Go there after this. It'll be up a little bit later on today for all of the selections from the guys who I can tell you who Charlie fancies, and he's got no bet in this. So there you go. We've timed it well. The Matchbook Zero Friday long shot we'll come to, but I'm the same for this and any other Friday bets. I just thought another investment in the 445 is worth a go. He hasn't won since his first season, but he's not raced much over 7, and I think this is what he wants. He's 23.0. I'll back him win and place down to 4, and when he's run at this track, it's been over 6, and he's always kept on. So it's a bit of a guess as to whether or not he is going to be capable of winning, because he hasn't shown much that he is. But he's well treated off a mark in the late 70s. He's been unlucky a few times, and he's just worth backing over 7. And that horse is my Matchbook Zero Friday long shot. So a reminder about Matchbook Zero. Matchbook Zero takes 0 margin, 0 commission, up to £20. So the maximum bet is £20 on it. You match the exchange prices on selected markets. If you've not used the exchange before, you're likely to be getting better odds anyway. And with the 0 margin, 0 commission, that enhances that factor massively. So if it's better odds you want, head to Matchbook Zero. It's if you want to have a bet up to £20, it's something you should definitely do. It's available from 10 a.m. each day. And a horse like another investment, I think you could be pricing up a good bit on the sportsbook prices out there for around about 24.0 currently. So have a look when that market goes live. Obviously on the Matchbook Zero market, it's not live because it's available from 10 a.m. each day. That'll be from 10 a.m. tomorrow. Steve Jones, your Matchbook Zero long shot is?
It's the horse that I mentioned of William Haggis's in the 225, Orchid Bloom.
And Charlie's, I can tell you, is in the 3 o'clock. That is the Night Solicitors handicap. It's going to be Yorkshire Lady. I don't have the price yet in front of me, but I will get it up very quickly whilst filling for my life. Going to be a price, Yorkshire Lady, for Joe Mason and the Easter Beast. 29.0 out of stall 13. 29.0 for Charlie and Yorkshire Lady. All right, moving on to Lays. I'm gonna stick up this Huey Morrison horse, Quickthorn, who I'm absolutely convinced. Well, two things: might not get his own way, and I think he wants cut underfoot. That's why they didn't run horse when he won at Sandown last year. That's why they didn't, and he wasn't even entered in the cut. He's 3.5. When he won at York, he got an easy. I think a really good horse. I don't think he could have forward on this ground. So I'm going to play him down to 2. Quickthorn. He's 3.5 in the outright market, so I'll be place laying him. Best bets then, Steve. What's your best bet?
Broome, who I think in the Yorkshire Cup is going to be ideally suited by a mile and 6. Won it 2 miles at Maidan, saw the trip out, and has got very high class form in over a mile and a half. So yeah, Broome for me. It's all very romantic, this, isn't it? Just me and you. But I'm terrified that you're going to drop out and I'm going to be left, as usual, on my own.
You'll have to carry it on your own. That'll be all right. Well, I'll tell you what, you're an arch wonky.
It's not. It's the wall that's wonky. As everyone says, it is the wall that is wonky, not Fred Archer, and the angle that I'm sat at.
Charlie, you're back.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on 4G on my phone with it propped up against the wall. I'm hoping this is coming through better. If not, you're just gonna have to kick me off again.
You're near the kettle, though. I like the way that you've repositioned yourself near the refreshments.
There's hot plates in front of me, coffee machine. I've got everything here. There's not a lot of racing and not a lot of Wi-Fi.
Two cans of Coke balanced on top of each other as well. I like that.
Oh yeah.
What's your best bet Friday? Best bet Friday, Charlie.
Best bet Friday. Hang on, I've got completely lost here. My Friday best.
It's
bet.
a 2-year-old.
Yes, yeah, it is. Yeah, you're completely right. Persian Dreamer for me for Friday. Sorry, I'll get back on kilter now.
Good. Well, listen, we've got a team steam in the Carnarvon, so we come to Saturday, the Carnarvon Stakes. What price is this Huss Noble Style? Because I tell you what, they won't see which way he's gone. 1.9, I think that's a bet. He's so much better than these. I think he's a serious animal. An enlisted company, he'll blitz them. He's way too good for them. He tanked all over it in the Guineas and then didn't get home on soft ground. Proper horse, Noble Style. He's a bet at 1.9. Steve Jones.
Yeah, he's not my kind of price, but he's my kind of horse. I think he is going to be just a little bit or plenty too good for them. I like Shaquille, but stepping up in distance. I don't think we should write off Desert Cop on the back of one poor performance on turf, but Noble Style could easily be a Group 1 3-year-old sprinter this summer.
Charlie, bet or no bet?
I think definitely a bet at 1.9, 100%. I think, he travelled incredibly well in the Guineas before not staying, and I'm really excited to see this horse at Newbury on Saturday. I think, he's definitely a bet at anywhere near even money, 100%.
Good. I agree. Right, then the Al Ryan. Yabir is 2.0, Haskell is 6.0, Kamari 8.5, Israel 9.5. I'm pretty clear on this race that it's Yabir. I love. He's one of my favourite horses in training. I had some, fortunate touches with him in his career because I saw him on his debut when he looked an absolute bull, and I sort of followed him since. I think he's an out-and-out lay for his reappearance, though, so that's what I'm going to be doing. Steve?
Yeah, you gave it the big build-up, and I thought, God, it's a brave man who wants to take 2.0 about Yabir because he does need a fast pace to run at. Maybe that's why the other Godolphin horse, Kamari's, in there to make a little bit of a pace for Yabir. It wouldn't be the first time that they've done that, but it's not for me, Yabir. And I think Haskell has got the potential to be quite a nice filly over this sort of distance. She's obviously well related. She has got a lot of stamina in there. She's already been tried at a mile and 6 when she was runner up in the St Leger and then demoted to 4th. But she's got a lot of potential, this horse, and if she's not too fizzy first time up, then I think she's got a really good chance taking the weight off the colts.
And Charlie Post?
Yeah, I'm with Steve. I mean, this is a filly that made her debut on the 29th of July, and little under 6 weeks later, she was second and then demoted in a Group 1 in the St Leger. Surely she's got more to come, and the addition of a tongue strap is interesting as well. I mean, if that can help at all with the allowance, I think she's a big player, and like I say, it could be a really exciting season for this filly, because with only the 3 starts under her belt, there's got to be a lot of upside to her still.
All right, a couple of shouts for Hathaway. London Gold Cup next. Prices are as... Well, in fact, give me your selection, Charlie, and then I'll give you the prices.
Bertinelli is my selection. I mean, I was looking at the prices during the week, and I thought he'd be a bit bigger than what he is now, but he's got a host of big race engagements still. He's in all the big contests, and he was narrowly denied by Alder, who then didn't do that form any harm in the I think being marginally unlucky at Chester during the week. And yeah, I would just hope that this horse, I thought it was quite an interesting move from Aidan O'Brien to come over and pitch him into a handicap like this. And that to me suggests that they think there's manoeuvrability in this mark of 99 and a fascinating contender.
Yeah, agreed. 7.0. Sorry, I'm just checking Newbury weather because it suddenly occurred to me that my selection for the next is quite ground dependent. Bertinelli 7.0, Desert Heroes 5.5. My selection is Exoplanet for obvious reasons. The form from last time looks very, very strong, and you don't tend to win much in this by looking away from the top of the market. I think he's pretty smart, Exoplanet. The draw is probably not ideal, but yeah, I'd rather back him. And I am a bit concerned about the Haggis horses. So there you go. Who are you with, Steve? You're with Royal Rhyme at 9.0.
Yeah, I really like this race. This is one of my favourite races of the year on the flat.
It's a great race.
Yeah, it is. It's got a habit of the winner often goes on to win group races, and it's not unusual for them to be Group 1 horses. The like of Alcazim, Defoe won it a few years ago. There's been a few others like Bay Bridge won it 2 years ago, who went and won the Champion Stakes. So it is a race, even though it's a handicap. You want to be looking towards the horses that run well at it, and the winner to go into group races. And I'm hoping that's Royal Rhyme, who has only been running on quite softer ground, but it's got the pedigree to cope with better ground, and he's got the pedigree to cope with going up in grade as well. Sharjah Queen was a horse, a half sister, and also a few others in there that did run well in group races. So Royal Rhyme has that pedigree. Last time at Newmarket, on soft ground, over 1.2 miles, this same distance, absolutely bolted up. And I think it was just the ability of Royal Rhyme that they got him home that day, rather than the dependence on the ground. And he's gone up £10 in the handicap, but I think Carl Burke's got a horse here who can step into group races. So Royal Rhyme at about 9.0 for me.
Just like that. The Al Shakab Lockinge is up next, Group 1. And we've got Modern Games bang at the top of the market, who is down 3.75. Laurel 4.5. My Prospero 5.5. Mutasabe 8.0. Jadumi 9.0. 12.0. And Bigger the rest. Charlie, I'm interested in your selection because I have him down as a bit of a Newmarket specialist, but he is 8.0.
Yeah, no, I definitely can agree with that. But he just looks like a horse that's been transformed by the application of blinkers. You know, he was very impressive on his last start of the last season, and then his comeback at Newmarket when he beat Native Trail. I thought he was very good. I'm willing to give him an opportunity to prove that it isn't just the case that he is dictated to by the track. And I just felt that the race was lacking a sort of standout. For Modern Game's a good horse, but I just think it's crying out for the Mar division for a horse to kind of step out of the woodwork and dominate. And I'm not saying that Mutasabek is that, but I just wonder if he might be good enough on Saturday. There is a button possibly that he might be vulnerable to pace pressure. But again, I just thought there'd be enough space on the track that he's not going to get crowded too much. And I'm just going to give him a chance. Yeah, like I say, I thought he looked good conceding the penalty last time out. And if he can build on that, I don't think if he can transfer that form away from Newmarket to Newbury, that he needs to be much better to potentially win this race.
Steve Jones.
Yeah, I think this is a fascinating race. And I'm taking a bit of a chance on one, Berkshire Shadow, who won the Coventry Stakes and then last season didn't run at all badly in the Guineas, and then again was only beaten a couple of lengths in the St James's Palace at Royal Ascot. I couldn't quite get a win on the board when dropped in grade later in the season, but it's come back this year, albeit on the all-weather at a lower level, and it's looked pretty good to me. So I just think this is another horse that's overpriced, 34.0, something like that, and has the back class, has the potential to make an impact, if nothing else, at this sort of level. Might not quite be good enough, but I see this horse running really well, and for that reason, win in place, Berkshire Shadow.
I can absolutely see that. So I could easily put up Lusail, Berkshire Shadow, and Jumbie win and place, because Lusail was beaten ahead by Caribus last year in the St James's Palace and ran a cracking race at a big price, 29.0. That was my best bet that day, just got touched off. Jumbie, I'll come to, and Berkshire Shadow, you made the case for. Can definitely see him running well. He's here on song, but this race does have a history of horses placing at big prices. The likes of Accidental Agent, David Mara's horse ran this, whose name escapes me, but at massive prices and placing. So Jumbie's a course winner.
Lord Glitters.
Lord Glitters. Thank you, Steve. Jumbie is a horse who wants a bit of a pace meltdown. I think whatever trip he runs over, he is a course winner. He's had a run. He's up 2 furlongs in trip, but I think he's forgotten about, and I'll probably back him 75% in the place market. The main play is Jadumi, who's a proper horse, but he probably wants a bit of cut underfoot. Now, it could easily be good to further places by the time race if no rain materialised on Friday. So the ground can't be quicker than good, but he's not got the credit he deserves, this horse. But like the Leopardstown performance, I thought was excellent. So I'll chance him. And the big thing about him is he's drawn 1. And on the straight course at Newbury, historically, middle to far side is where you want to be. Now, that's been less of a thing in recent years, but it's still something for me to cling on to. Modern Games is 13. This horse, Jadumi, has drawn 1 that could be a good place to be. I can see him going forward over on the far side and hopefully staying there. Done. The 205 at Newmarket. I haven't got Newmarket up, so I will do. But Charlie, you can kick us off.
Gone with Akatango for Richard Kingscote and Harry and Roger Charlton. I think I've got him at 5.5 on the what's in front of me. He ran a super race at Adolf behind Racing Breaks Rider, who's gone on and won since, and the horse was third, won on his next start. So the form has worked out great. He just looks a real hardy type of horse. I thought he was really good under pressure, bowled along in front and kept on strongly. I don't see any reason why he shouldn't progress a bit for the run. I mean, he's up 3 pounds, but that doesn't really worry me. As in, like I say, I would hope with the run under his belt, he'll strip a bit tighter now. And like I say, I've come forward for that. And he still hasn't had heaps of racing. So that I would imagine there's hopefully still upside for him. So Akatango, bowl along in front, never headed for me.
Okay, incidentally, Alex is with us who says modern news for moi for the Lockinge. Good luck. I agree with you, Charlie, and Akatango. I think the Racing Breaks rider form is not appreciated. I think that's a decent horse. Agree with everything you've said. Steve?
Yeah, I'm going to go for a consistent horse who's race fit in Gulmarg. I thought ran particularly well at Newmarket last time on slightly easy ground. I think it's going to dry out quite quickly at Newmarket. There is a bit of rain around on Friday, but I think when it comes to Saturday, it's going to dry out pretty rapidly, and that will suit Gulmarg, who is just a very consistent horse, and coincidentally finished a neck behind Okatango at Kempton on the all-weather last September. Is a bit better off with the weights this time. So that form stacks up very well. Sean Woods is a very shrewd trainer, and he's got Harry Davis, who still claims 3 remarkably, which is another bonus. There might be 1 or 2 that might be a bit better handicap than Goldmark, but one thing you know with him, he'll run his race and he won't be far away, and he might easily be able to win this. So I'm with Goldmark.
Okay, moving on to the Aspel Suffolk draft side. I like a bit of Aspel in the summer. This has Eminency at the top of the betting at 3.5, Revenite 3.5, 6.5 Expert Agent, 9.0 Mutani, and Washington Heights. Bigger prices the rest. I wanted to take on Eminency, and as a result, I thought Revenite should favour. I don't think this track will play to Eminency's strengths, given his run style, personally. And I thought Revenite, off a mark of 90, off the back of 2 wins, did well to win at Ascot a couple of starts ago, when a prominent ride's often tricky there. The Rocket Rodney form is good, and won at the back end of last season as well, albeit was entitled to. First start of the season, I know, but I think he might be a bit better than 90. So Revenite, for me, will likely go forward, though he might have a bit of company from the likes of Ararat. There's one other I had in there as well who's forgotten. A funny story, although he was slowly away last time. But yeah, Revenite for me. Steve?
Washington Heights is the one I like here. Really like Washington Heights. Now, this horse, if the ground does dry out, it would be handy for Washington Heights, because his best form has, even though he handles a bit softer, his best form has come on decent ground over 6 furlongs last year, and he keeps bumping into good horses. If it was a head second to should have been a ring at York in that big sales race at the Ebor meeting, then came up against Cold Case, who's a really talented sprinter and has won a Group 3 since then, or first time out this season. And last time came up against Shaquille, who runs does he run at York? I'm losing track of time. So yes, Washington Heights is come up. He's been unlucky to bump into some right horses. Some last time a well handicapped horse, and last season just good horses. And with the fact that this is Washington Heights' 3rd run, which they always say for a sprinter is when they should be absolutely spot on, and everything looks in place for Washington Heights. I really fancy.
Charlie? No, you've got no bet, haven't you? Got nothing.
I sat this one out, mate. Yeah, yeah.
Come in with the next race then. What have you got in the next? This is the 3:15. It's the Aspel Premier Crew handicap, and your selection price is what, Charlie?
I can start. I actually haven't got the prices up in front of me. I haven't got.
Right.
Have you got?
I'm going to tell you. Oh God, mine aren't loading. Here we are. Right, take us through the Adam Kirby ridden Charlie trained Striking Star, and I'll try and find a price for you.
He ran a blinder at the track at the last meeting. Was only beat half a length. I mean, he's up 5, but it was handicap debut. If you watch it, he was still quite green late on in the race, and I didn't think watching William Buick gave him an unduly hard time. The ground is the unknown, as Steve said. If it keeps on going the way it is, it could tighten up considerably. But I look for his pedigree, and yes, he's a Jibawi, but the Dan Lucida was second in a Guineas on good to firm ground. So I think there's cause for optimism there. And like I say, he just looks like a horse with bags of improvement still to come from him. And it's early days. And like the £5 rise, I don't see as a worry if he comes through that. And yeah, like I just kept watching the race back and felt like William Buick was just, it just looked like he was at pains not to give him a hard time of it if he wasn't going to win. And then he still rallied late under pressure to only be beat half a length.
No prices. Steve?
I'm going to go for Havana Blue of Clive Cox's, who comes into it off the back of a pretty ordinary performance at Goodwood. But the ground at Goodwood that day was absolutely desperate. And it was officially soft, but because it was the first race, but they soon changed it to heavy, and it was miserable. It was fog, the sea fret had come in. It was a horrible day. So I'm not going to hold that against Havana Blue, and I'm hoping the market will, because previously Havana Blue ran a really sound race at the Craven meeting at Newmarket. So he's got that track form. It was second to Harry Magnus, a horse of Charlie Hills's, who appeared to be nicely treated for handicap debut that day. So course form, distance form, and the fact that that you can forgive Havana Blue that most recent run, I think there's plenty of upside to him. So yeah, Havana Blue.
Any other Saturday bets? You've got one, Charlie, in the 350, which was the 315.
Yeah, the curveball. Yeah, Montasib for me. For William Haggis, who you boys have discussed before about his form, but I thought this horse, he bombed out in the Lincoln at Donny, but had a tongue strap on, which was taken off at Haydock. And just again, I thought he was unlucky. He got checked in his run a couple of times by Kieran Fallon on, and he only went down by 2 lengths to Rainbow Fire. Just there's a slight concern with the horse that maybe is a bit of a nearly horse. He seems to run very well in a lot of big races without quite taking one out, but I'm sure that he will before the season is out, and hopefully it'll be Saturday. I must admit, again, when I was looking through the price zone in the week,
he's got 5.5 is Montasib. Steve, you've got nothing else, have you? We might have to. Oh, sorry, we've got you back, Charlie. That's right. So Montasib 5.5. Matchbook Zero long shots then. Mine's Jumbie for obvious reasons. Steve, yours is in the same race.
Yeah, Berkshire Shadow, a horse that I think has the ability to be competitive in the Lockinge. And
Charlie, you got one?
I didn't have a long shot for Saturday. I had one for Friday when I was cut off. I had Yorkshire Lady in the 3 o'clock at York. I just thought she had some solid form last term. Joe Mason gets a really good tune out of her, and the connections. I mean, they love winners at York. So Yorkshire Lady was a long shot for me.
On Friday, she's 29.0, big old price. Best Saturday lays, where the guns are out for Appleby. I'm your beer 2.0 or shorter. And Charlie?
Yeah, Modern Games. I think he's a really admirable horse. I just have a feeling that there might be something better for him than him in the Lockinge on Saturday. And at 3 point, if he's under 3.0, I'll be taking him on. Like, he's great on his travels, but I think there's a bit of vulnerability about him on home soil.
Okay.
I'll jump on that. You'd be having seen that 2.0. I think he's definitely a one to lay.
Okay. Best Saturday bets. I'll kick us off with a bit of Appleby love and noble style in the Carnarvon. Steve.
Washington Heights, who is in the 240 at Newmarket.
Charlie.
Well, I mean, I'm going to go Montasib, in the 350 at Newmarket.
Okay, Montasib in that 350 at Newmarket. All right, good stuff. Thanks, everyone. Don't forget to check out Matchbook Insights for a recap of all the best bets that's going to go up. Like and subscribe, please do. Makes it easier to digest everything we put up there. It helps us and it helps you. And check out Matchbook Zero as well. 0 commission, and you're most likely to be getting better odds, up to £20. Well worth doing. I hope you've enjoyed that. We'll see you again next week. Good luck this weekend. Ta-ta.